Can you see car history when at the auction? What red flags do you look for?
I'm hooked up with Carfax where I can see the history. If I pull it up, I can scan the VIN. But honestly, I don't. We go through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cars every single auction, and over the course of a whole week, we go through thousands of cars. There's one auction that I go to. They run between like 3,000 to 4,000 cars every single week, and I go there every single week. They have 16 lanes. And when you're looking at this, I have to go through so many cars in such a short amount of time that I'm trying to trim down everything that I'm looking to just like the bare essentials. And what that means is that every once in a while, I'm going to miss something where I buy a salvage when I don't know it's a salvage. Now, the good thing about all of these auctions that we go to is they have to announce this stuff. So the auctions have to actually do a history report. I think a lot of them use like auto check. Not my favorite. I like Carfax better, but they'll run an auto check on it and check title brands. You think salvage, total loss, theft, flood, things like that. And whatever they find, they have to announce. Now, if they end up missing something, if AutoCheck ends up missing something on their end, which happens quite a bit, I buy the car because I think it's a clean title and I pay X amount of dollars for it for a clean title vehicle. And then we get it back to our lot. We run the Carfax on everything that we buy as soon as we buy it. And my title clerk calls me and says, "Hey, that car was not announced salvage, or it wasn't announced flood, and it's flood or it's salvage." Then I have the ability at that point to call the auction back and say, "Hey, this car is actually salvage. Here it is on Carfax, and we either don't want the car." A lot of times they'll take money off of it because the seller doesn't want the car back. Either once they sell the car, they want to be done with it, or we have the option to even check the car out, which is what we do. I think is a smart thing. Is I'm not afraid to sell a salvage car as long as the frame's good, and we're pretty good about checking that stuff. I want to make sure nothing's dangerous. In a lot of cases, a lot of these cars that are marked as salvage, it's because they were hitting the like a quarter panel, and that's all that was replaced. But with the laws, if it's like over like 20 or 25% of the worth of the car to actually get stuff fixed, then they'll just total it out. And you got to think with our cars that being cheap, like if we have it's a $4,000 car is what the insurance company says is what it's worth. Like one quarter panel on that car is going to cost $1,000. So we're already not even counting paint. We're already at the point where they'll salvage it out, even if there's no structural damage to the car whatsoever. It was just bumped. So what we'll end up doing, which I think is smart, is we'll get the car back to us. We'll realize that it's salvage when it wasn't announced. We'll go through the car. We'll drive it. We'll see if the car's good. If the car's really good, and then that basically gives us a little warranty because we have the option to return it. But if the car's great, then we might go back to the auction and say, okay, well, it's a salvage car, knock $500 off of it. Sometimes they'll offer that before we even ask for it, and we'll take the car. So it just gives us that little buffer zone in. And to be honest with you, most our cars, if we're selling a $3,500 car, if that car's got a clean title or if it's got a salvage title, it doesn't matter for our customer. We're going to sell it at $3,500 either way. And there might be some customers out there, maybe we sell it a little bit slower because there's just some customers out there that won't buy a salvage car no matter what. But in most cases, a customer looking for a $3,500 car, they're looking for a point A to point B car at a certain price. And there's not a lot else that matters on it. Now, I mean, mileage can come into effect. Somebody doesn't want something's got over 200,000 miles. I understand that they can still find something with 175,000 miles. That 200,000 mile psychological barrier is pretty big. But they can find something with 175,000 miles. And if it has a salvage title or clean title, they don't really care. So it doesn't really affect us selling the car. Maybe the clean versus salvage would allow us to sell it just a little bit faster. But in my experience, it doesn't make the car worth any less for our range. And the clean title is not really a big selling point. Now, after saying that, it might sound like we sell a lot of salvage stuff, but I would say 1 out of every 20 cars that we sell is probably salvage. So 5% would be my guess of our cars that we sell are actually salvage. Now, one thing going back to the actual title brands, one thing I would avoid, and I think that was the initial question, is what do I look for? I don't really want to buy any flood cars. Salvage, something that was bumped, especially if it was a small repair that I can see on Carfax, doesn't bother me at all. But flood worries me. And for you out there, if you're looking for a car to buy, flood should also scare you too, because water can get into different systems in the cars. Everything's electronic. It was wires going everywhere through a car. And if you get one little nick on a wire running through a floor panel, or coming out of your firewall, and there's a little bit of sitting water somewhere where it shouldn't be, it can ground out a lot of these wires and make like a open circuit where something's running all the time, or something that will just never turn on. So we can run into that kind of problem. You also get mildew. You can get water that just sits in door panels. You can get water that will sit in the trunk if the drain plug has been clogged up because so much just junk has gone through it. And it can make some really bad smells. It can make some condensation happen in your car, and that's something that's very, very tough to get out. So of all the brands that are out there, title brands, I'm flood is the one that I don't want to deal with. And if I see that it's a flood car, I'm not going to buy it. So that's the only one of all of them that I would try to avoid. The only other situation that we run into is like car repos. It's rare that you're going to see a repo on an actual title or the history of the car, unless it was repoed very early in its life from a big institution like Wells Fargo or something like that. They'll report some of that. But most of the time, if it's a buy your pay or lot, you're not seeing any repos on any history. They'll just, someone miss their payment and they'll go pick up the car and they'll go resell it again. But I try to, we buy repos every once in a while, but that's another one that I'm really iffy about. And we have to look at the car really hard if we know it's a repo, just because those cars aren't taken care of and we know that they're going to be dogged. So
as summer kicks in, it's the best time to get outside. And thanks to today's sponsor, Electric E-Bikes, I've been enjoying the trail behind my house in a whole new way. Their newest model, the XP4, comes loaded with power. Up to a 750 watt motor that peaks at 1310 watts. Hydraulic brakes, integrated lights and turn signals, and 5 riding modes including turbo. It's foldable, supports up to 330 pounds, and can go up to 85 miles on a single charge. If you're looking for options, Electric still has the X-Peak, built for off-road, and the XP Lite 2.0, a lightweight ride that delivers great range without the bulk. Their bikes ship for free anywhere in the US, and it's a hassle-free assembly in under 5 minutes. Click the link in my description or check out the QR code on the screen to check out their rides. Add a bike cover to your order and get it for free using my code CQA at checkout. Man, this thing's so much fun.
Of the two situations that we run into, flood, I'm hands off completely, and then repo is a big warning sign for us. But everything else, unless I'm just missing something off the top of my head, everything else I'm okay with.
Could you elaborate a little bit more on the repos? We did have a question about if repos are worth buying. So not necessarily what you buy, but if someone else, if it would be worth it for them. So are repo cars worth buying?
Yeah, you can get a really good deal on a repo car, but it's going to come with a lot of risk, because you got to think about who's actually, what's happened to this repo. Let's look at the life cycle. Usually this car was bought by someone who couldn't afford it to begin with. So if they couldn't afford it to begin with, maintenance is not going to be something that's really done, because they don't have the spare money to spend on anything else. So why are they going to do regular oil changes, change the tires when they need to? If sensors go out, they're not going to really take care of it. In a lot of cases, these cars, in a lot of cases, these people know that they're going to lose the car. When they stop making payments on the car, they know what they signed up for. They know it's just a matter of time before they lose the car. So why would they take care of it? If you know you are going to lose something, why would you put more money into it? So they're not going to clean it. They're not going to take it to a car wash. You're not getting any of this done on a repo. So what we typically find on repos is there's a ton of mechanical issues that haven't been addressed. Why would they? They're not going to put any money into it. They're nasty. And in a lot of cases, they get picked up in times when these people were not prepared for them to be picked up. So you could have, there's been multiple situations where we find groceries that are in the trunk of a car, milk that's been sitting there for months. And it's just absolutely nasty. And then you get to the point too where it's a poor level of person that's typically going to lose their car, and just lifestyles of how they live, how they keep their cars up. It's just not an opportunity for a deal, in my opinion, for the most of the repos that I've seen. And in a lot of cases, you're getting yourself into trouble when you buy them, because there's going to be a lot of unseen problems and a lot of seen problems too. I mean, you're just going to, there's been so many cars I've just opened up and just the smell that hits you in the face. Now, so for the average person who's not in the car industry trying to buy cars to flip them, I would be off limits on repos. And in a lot of cases, it's easy to know if a car is repoed when you're going to an auction. Like when we go, there's stickers on every one of the cars showing who is selling the car. So I know if Wells Fargo is selling the car, it's a repo. I know if Credit Acceptance is selling a car, it's a repo. I know if it's a buy here, pay here car dealer selling the car, most likely it's a repo. So I know it's easy to actually avoid these cars when I'm going to auction, because I know where the seller. You think Wells Fargo, they don't have a dealership. They're not wholesaling any cars. The only way Wells Fargo is going to have a car is if someone defaulted on the loan. They're not doing any off lease, anything. They're not taking any trade-ins. There's not anything like that you're going to deal with Wells Fargo. It's only going to be repossessed vehicles. Capital One, the same thing. And I know a lot of these bigger buy here, pay here dealers that dump a lot of their repos, and I can see who's actually selling the car, and so I can easily avoid that. But you going to maybe like a public auction might not know exactly what you're getting into before you get into it. It's another reason why I would say definitely avoid public auctions. And what I've seen too is Copart. Copart, they're starting to sell a lot more repos too. I know last year we did a partnership with them where I went to their lot, and they wanted to highlight a lot of their, they had repossessions that were coming through there too, not only wrecked cars, which is a positive for a lot of people that are looking for a deal, know how to fix cars, because in a lot of cases, the repossessions, they're not wrecked. So it's a little bit easier for them to fix. There's going to be something to fix on them, but it's easier to fix sensors or the cars that haven't been maintained than it is to put a whole back end of a car back together. So positive for some people out there looking for certain things like that. But for the mass public, if you're just the average Joe going and buying cars, I'd stay away from repos. Not something that I want to get into.
Just another fun follow-up. Have you found drugs in a vehicle you bought? The local dealer found stuff under a wiper cowl.
Yeah, I found. So we had. I don't know if we can say.
Yeah, I was just thought about that as I was saying it. Are we in trouble now?
No, not in this, but when we do the video.
Okay.
So the question is, have I ever found drugs in a car before? So there was I can't remember the car. I think it was like a Crown Vic or a Grand Marquis. I want to say Grand Marquis. It's not Keys. It's Grand Marquis. We went to go change the tire on this vehicle, and lined on the inside of this tire was all of this white powder all around. So what had happened in this tire was that there were drugs that were being smuggled to whatever area that they were trying to get them to in this tire, and the bag actually exploded. So that's why you could see all of this. And the tire shop that actually went and got this tire switched with, they said it's not actually an uncommon thing for them to see. So it's funny, and this is how a lot of drugs were and maybe are still transported. I don't know, but it was just funny for me to see something like that, and also the tire shop to say, nope, it's not a rare thing. Actually, we see it quite often. So yeah, that was odd to me, because me and my little bubble of how I live, I don't. It was very weird for me to see.
What used cars would you recommend up to maybe $10,000 that have a very comfortable and soft ride?
So I buy and sell cars that are $5,000 and under, and what that allows us to do is, for one, we know a lot of the cars that don't make it to like that 150, 200,000 mile range, because this is the range of cars that we have to buy. But I also see the ones that do last a very long time. And there's always one answer for this. Whenever someone asks me, I'll give you like 4 or 5 cars that I'm okay with under this $10,000 range. But the number one that I would always say, if anyone ever asks me, what's the best bang for your buck? If I'm looking for a $5,000 car, if I'm looking for anything $10,000 and under, it's always a Toyota Camry. And I mean, the ones that I would pick out are the 2002 to 2006 Toyota Camrys with the 4-cylinder motor. Those things are bulletproof. And this number one car that I see at auction that has 300,000 miles, 400,000 miles. I've seen some with 500,000 miles and more and still running strong. And it's very rare that you'll see other makes and models that can actually make it that far. But that's been one constant through the last 14 years. And even the ones before that, like 96 to 2001, great cars. I bought my aunt a $300 car. Oh my goodness. This has been maybe 10 years ago now. It was like a 97 or 98 Toyota Camry, had like 230,000 miles when I bought it for her. She drove it for like 7 or 8 years and then sold it for probably, I think it was like $1,500. But she drove that $300 car forever and had no major issue with it at all. And it was a Toyota Camry. Another car I would maybe, okay, so Toyota Camry is number one. And then way down here at number 2, there's a big gap between 1 and 2, is you're going to fall into like Toyota Corollas, Honda Civics. I wouldn't put Honda Accord up with the Civics and the Corollas. I wonder if it's because a lot of the Accords maybe were dogged a little bit more just because they're bigger. They had a little bit more power. Civics and Corollas, though, are really good. And then number 3, I'd probably throw Accord right there. Still great cars. And I see them often with, running 300,000 miles, no problem. But definitely not as good as the Corollas or the Civics. If you're looking at like SUVs, I like Toyota RAV4s and I like Honda CRVs. If you see a common theme in the ones that I see that have 300,000 plus miles on them, it's Toyota and Honda. There are some other makes and models that can get up there, but it's far more common for me to see just Toyotas and just Hondas in a large scale that can actually make it to that 250 plus thousand miles. Try to think of like a van if I'm giving you some variety here. Where we go back to? We go back to a Sienna and Odyssey, not to the same extent as a Sienna. So if I was going to recommend a van in that range for you, it would be Sienna and probably not the Odyssey. And I say that my wife drives an Odyssey, but it's a newer one. We're also not going to try to keep it to 300,000 miles. At least I hope not. but that's the Siennas I'll see way more often than the Odysseys actually make it past that 300,000 mile range. And I think we've got one on our lot right now. It's an old one. It's like a 2000 or a 2001 Toyota Sienna. It's got like 200,000 miles on it. I love them. Great cars. I don't have any problems with those. Trucks are harder. And especially if you're looking for under $10,000, I think was the initial question. Trucks are just so hard to buy. And if you're going to buy something that's $10,000 or under, it's probably going to be ragged out. So I would even recommend buying maybe even an SUV, a Honda Pilot. Maybe you can find a older, rougher Sequoia and use that if you're trying to get something to work in. But trucks just going to be no bueno for $10,000 and under. They're not affordable, and you can't buy used ones that are any good for remotely close to under that $10,000 range. So very tough. But I hope that helps. I'm seeing like Mazda. I like Mazdas too. See CX-5. The thing you got to worry about, I'm not sure if the CX-5s had it, but I know the CX-9s had them, or the turbos. and they didn't do them very well. There's a lot of turbos that gone bad in a lot of those Mazda CX-9s. Not sure if the CX-5s had them or not, though.
Here's a nice and easy one. You get a lot of Scion TC?
We bought quite a few of them. What I mean, they're Toyotas, right? We haven't had a ton of problems with it. The problem that I will say, if I'm going to like pick on the car a little bit, is it seems like the interiors and the way that they were put together, they were made to be cheap cars. But the way that they were put together, it seems like a lot of the interior parts, you can tell on a cheap car versus a expensive car, the rattles that go on inside of a car. And it's because of just really simply the clips and the way that they actually put in a lot of these plastic pieces, where when they wear down, they'll just start moving around a lot. And the TC, because it was made to be a cheap car, they have a lot of rattles on the inside. But as far as motor, transmission, I mean, they were solid cars made by Toyota, great, reliable cars, just feels really cheap. And they look cool. I mean, I think they're probably a great car for a young kid. If you can find like a 06 to 08, something like that, and you're trying to get a kid into a really cheap car, something with 150,000 miles in a place that doesn't have rust, I mean, you're only spending $3,000, $4,000, maybe $5,000 for a really, really nice one. And I love it. Love it for that, for that. But if I have to say something negative about it, they were made to be cheap cars, and over time, you can tell that they're cheap cars. The other downside is they do look cool and they look fast. They're not fast. They look fast. So that does also bring in a type of customer that is young kid. And what do young guys do to cars that look fast? They beat the crap out of them. So that can have some long-term downsides to some of these motors, some of these transmissions. But the ones that we've gotten, we haven't had any issues with them, and seems like they've held up very well. They are Toyotas, and I can say good things about them. So that's what I think about Scion TC. No problem.